Welcome back to another reaction, everybody. My name is Tyler Martin, and you're watching Wrestling in the Midwest. This video that I'm about to react to is called Nobody Understands Kevin Owens. Don't really have much to say before we watch it. If I have any opinions or whatnot, I will leave those for the end or during. So let's get right into this thing.
You ever watch one of those movies and find yourself rooting for the bad guy? You know, the ones where you're halfway through the story and think, wait a minute, this guy actually kind of makes sense. Because here's the thing, when you think of modern day WWE.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. I've been telling a lot of people this. Kevin Owens has a point with everything that he says. Yes, he's being petty about it, storyline wise, obviously not the real guy, but it's good work that he's doing right now because the fact that everything he says and everything that he does has a meaning behind it, and it's not just I'm a heel, so I'm gonna just everything's bad or everything that I do is gonna be bad because I'm a heel. No, he's got a decent argument for the things that he believes and the things that he's doing.
WWE, you might think of the Bloodline saga or Cody Rhodes finishing a story or the Judgment Day lore, but amidst all the chaos, there has been one important yet often overlooked story that has been silently unfolding for half a decade at this point. It's the one story that's seamlessly interconnected with all the previous stories we just mentioned and has played a crucial role in shaping modern WWE's landscape. I'm talking about Kevin Owens' battle against the system and his underrated genius. And no, in case you were wondering, by genius, I don't mean the time when KO was the only one on the roster who could prove that Elias and Ezekiel were the same person.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
One of the 100 times when the prize
fighter almost went
reminded
insane
everyone
over that.
of basic wrestling tropes that most people seem to forget.
Doesn't make sense. You gotta wait for somebody to call you out before you come out. What the hell is this? No, they broke the rule. The unwritten rule.
It's so over the top.
I'm talking about Kevin Owens' battle against the injustice in WWE, an injustice that involves Roman Reigns, the entire bloodline, and has recently drawn in the likes of Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton into the mix. Because unlike most bad guys in wrestling who just turn their backs on everyone to be edgy and get a shot at the gold, Owens has the most legit motivation and one of the slowest burning character arcs in modern wrestling history, to the point where you can't really help but kind of root for him. So what exactly makes Kevin's journey so compelling? What makes his story arc against the bloodline so brilliant yet so overlooked? What differentiates KO from the rest of the locker room, and what does the future hold for Kevin Owens in WWE? Well, this is Grease from Wrestleology, and today we're going to answer all those questions and dive deep into one man's fight against an entire corrupt system that's slowly taking everything away from him.
Let's do it.
You see, Kevin Owens' story with the bloodline didn't start when Sami Zayn joined them. It didn't start when the Usos became the longest reigning tag team champions, and it certainly didn't start when Cody Rhodes came back to the WWE. No, Kevin Owens' story with the bloodline began in late 2020 when Roman Reigns had just returned to WWE, turned heel, and proclaimed.
I think that's part of the reason, storyline wise, why Cody doesn't necessarily see eye to eye with Kevin Owens when it comes to this, because yeah, he lost the first bout, but he eventually got the championship. Kevin Owens fought many times before Cody even came back, and after he came back, fought for the title and lost. And for Cody Rhodes to come back, lose once, and then have a really good year and beat Roman, and then he basically took Roman off of his pedestal, and then Roman comes back and Cody's like, hey, I'll help you gain your stock back, basically, in Kevin Owens' eyes, obviously. But really what was going on, this is the part where Kevin Owens kind of, the point that Kevin Owens has kind of isn't as strong. The only reason Cody Rhodes fought alongside Roman Reigns is because he knew that the lesser of two evils was Roman at the time, and as a champion, the right thing to do would be to help somebody out, even if it is your enemy, for the greater good. And I think that was what Cody Rhodes was trying to accomplish here. But Kevin Owens doesn't seem to see that, and he doesn't allow Cody to really talk about that either because of how he just attacks immediately. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
Himself as the tribal chief and the head of the table. Whilst everyone in the locker room was either falling in line or running scared, Owens was the first person to see through Roman's facade and stand up to him. In December 2020, while others were trying to find ways to coexist with Roman's reign of terror, KO did something different. He looked Roman in the eye and called him exactly what he was: a manipulator, a fraud, and a coward hiding behind his family's name. And here's the thing that everyone seems to forget. Kevin Owens was right. Remember those Universal Championship matches at TLC 2020 or the Steel Cage match or the one at the Royal Rumble 2021? Owens had Roman beat every single time.
And here's the kicker. Not only is Kevin right, but Roman hasn't changed at all.
He had him dead to rights. Every single time Kevin Owens proved that he could go toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns, but what happened in the end? The Bloodline's numbers game just proved to be way too much. But what's fascinating isn't just that Owens lost these matches, it's what he was saying during this period. Week after week, KO would warn everyone about what the Bloodline was doing to the WWE. He talked about how Roman was using his family ties to create an empire built on fear. He predicted that this wouldn't stop with just Jey Uso, that Roman would just keep adding members to his family, keep expanding his influence until no one could stand him. And that's exactly what happened in the years that followed. Jimmy Uso fell in line, Solo Sikoa emerged as Roman's enforcer, Sami Zayn was manipulated into joining the Bloodline. The Bloodline literally
I feel like at first Sami Zayn was trying to kind of manipulate Roman to the point where he could turn on him, and then he kind of fell for the we're family type stuff. You know what I mean? I think if you go back and look, I feel like Sami Zayn had the ill intentions at first, but the heart that he has now and he's always had kind of got in the way of what he was trying to call. I think he was trying to get a championship match the whole time until he got deep into it, and then obviously Roman turns on him and then he goes back to what he was originally planning to do. I don't know if they've ever brought that up in a storyline or anything like that, but I believe that's where they were going at first, at least.
Exactly as Owens warned that it would. But here's the real kicker. During this entire period, Kevin Owens was fighting this battle alone. When he was getting beaten down by Roman and Jey Uso, no one came to help him. This is crucial to understand because it sets up everything that followed. Kevin Owens wasn't just fighting the Bloodline, he was fighting a system that had already accepted Roman Reigns as its Lord and Savior. He was fighting against a company that was slowly being corrupted by the tribal chief's influence, and he was doing it completely alone. And do you want to know the most ironic part? Years later, when Cody Rhodes returned to WWE, he was praised as a hero for saying the exact same things about Roman Reigns that Kevin Owens had been saying since 2020. When Cody talked about breaking the Bloodline's grip on WWE, he was celebrated. But when KO did it, he was labeled as the troublemaker and just a guy who was angry and bitter. And that's what makes this current position so fascinating. Because when you look at Kevin Owens today attacking Cody Rhodes and seeming like the bad guy, you have to remember, this is the same Kevin Owens who tried to warn us about the Bloodline's corruption years ago. And if he was right then, what if he's right now?
I think he is.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet, because in 2022, something happened that made this whole situation even more personal for Kevin Owens when the Bloodline got their hands on Sami Zayn. Now, if you know anything about WWE history, you know that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have one of the most complex relationships in wrestling. They have been best friends, bitter enemies, and everything in between. But despite their complicated past, no one understood Sami better than Kevin Owens. So when Sami Zayn started hanging around the Bloodline, started calling himself the honorary Uce, Kevin Owens saw exactly what was happening. Once again, he tried to warn everyone. He tried to tell Sami that the Bloodline was just using him, that Roman Reigns was manipulating him the same way he'd manipulated his own cousins. And at Survivor Series War Games 2022, Owens found himself in a peculiar position. He joined forces with the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre to take on the Bloodline. The man who had been fighting the Bloodline alone 2 years ago finally had some allies, but across the ring was his best friend Sami Zayn, now fully embedded with the Bloodline. And what happened in that match? The Bloodline won, but more importantly, Owens was proved right yet again, because it was just 2 months later at Royal Rumble 2023, Sami Zayn finally saw Roman Reigns.
Give me a second, y'all. I gotta plug my computer in before it dies. All right, we are back. My apologies. I had to plug in my laptop because I forgot to plug it in before we even started. I'm an idiot because it was about to die as it was. So I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. But here we go.
For what he really was. When Sami hit Roman with a chair after Owens' title match, it wasn't just a moment of defiance. It was a moment of realization.
Right.
Everything Kevin Owens had been saying about the Bloodline was true. After months of watching his best friend being manipulated, after years of fighting the Bloodline alone, Kevin Owens had a choice to make. When Sami Zayn came asking for help, asking for forgiveness, Owens could have just said, "I told you so," and that would have been that. He could have turned his back on Sami the same way that Sami turned his back on him. But he didn't. Instead, Owens forgave Sami. Well, not immediately and not easily, but he ended up doing so. And together, they did what seemed impossible. At WrestleMania 39, in the main event of Night 1, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated the Usos for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, somewhat weakening the Bloodline's reign of terror over the
Kevin,
WWE.
as you can see there.
For 154 days, Owens and Zayn reigned as Tag Team Champions. They defended those titles against everyone, from Imperium to the Judgment Day, and they even successfully defended against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa at Night of Champions. For a moment, it seemed like Kevin Owens had finally won his war against the Bloodline. But remember what I said earlier about history having a way of proving Kevin Owens right? Because just when it seemed like the Bloodline's grip on WWE was weakening, just when it seemed like Kevin Owens had finally found some peace, that's when Cody Rhodes decided to change everything. And that's where our story takes its most interesting turn. When Cody Rhodes embarked on the road to dethrone Roman Reigns and quote-unquote finish his story, Kevin Owens was one of his strongest supporters. I mean, who better to understand Cody's mission to take down the Roman Empire than the man who had been fighting the same battle for years? When Cody needed allies against the Bloodline, Owens was there. When Cody needed someone to help him fight off Solo Sikoa and the Tongas, Owens answered the call. Time and time again, Kevin Owens put his body on the line to help Cody Rhodes achieve his dream. But what did Cody do in return? Well, for starters, Mr. American Nightmare here, in what he thought was an act of redemption, brought Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw, which resulted in Kevin Owens being drafted to SmackDown, splitting the team of Owens and Sami Zayn. Let that sink in for a moment. The man who had been fighting the Bloodline longer than anyone, who had supported Cody's mission from the start, was essentially exiled to SmackDown because Cody wanted to play savior to Jey Uso. But it gets worse, because after Owens was sent to SmackDown, he still didn't give up on Cody. Even when a new version of the Bloodline emerged with Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Solo Sikoa, Owens was still there fighting alongside Rhodes. Even when Cody offered him that title match at Bash in Berlin, a match that felt more like pity than respect, Owens still tried to do things the right way. But then came the ultimate betrayal. Cody Rhodes, the man who has built his entire comeback story on defeating the Bloodline, the man who promised to dethrone Roman Reigns, decided to team up with the Tribal Chief. The same Roman Reigns.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the argument for Cody Rhodes, though. He didn't go through as much as Kevin Owens. So it'd be hard for him to see through Kevin Owens' eyes when he didn't go through the same stuff. He didn't go through the amount of... Cody Rhodes had multiple people that had his back. Kevin Owens went it alone, and that's not Cody's fault. That's where the lines get blurred here. Is at the end of the day, it wasn't Cody Rhodes' fault what Kevin Owens went through, but Kevin Owens is kind of blaming that on Cody. In a way, he's right, but at the same time, again, Cody Rhodes can only do what he can do. He wasn't part of the company back then, so what can you do? You know what I mean?
tormented Kevin Owens for years, the same Roman Reigns who had corrupted Sami Zayn, Owens' best friend, and the same Roman Reigns who made Owens' life hell since 2020. That's when Kevin Owens finally snapped. And honestly, can you blame him? After Bad
No,
Blood,
not
when
really.
those fan cameras caught Owens attacking Rhodes outside his bus, it wasn't just another heel turn. It was years of frustration finally boiling over. It was
Right.
watching history repeat itself. Another friend compromising their principle, another ally falling under the bloodline's influence.
Yep.
Even his relationship with Randy Orton, one of the few genuine friendships he had left, was sacrificed because Orton chose to stand with Cody. Once
Exactly.
again, Kevin Owens found himself alone, fighting against a system that refuses to see what he sees. So when people ask why Kevin Owens turned on Cody Rhodes, why he attacked Randy Orton, why he seems so bitter and angry, the answer is simple. He's tired of being right. He's tired of warning people about the bloodline's corruption only to watch them fall into the same traps. And he's tired of being the only one who seems to remember history. So where does this leave us? Well, it leaves
Which is why he's kind of going insane right now, because not only is he right in his mind and kind of in real life, but the people are booing him for things that are true. And we all know it's true, and he knows that we know it's true, but we're still booing him. Like, put yourself in his shoes in a real life perspective. Like, that would drive you nuts.
leaves us with a Kevin Owens who's been labeled as bitter, angry, and unstable. But when you look at the evidence, when you trace his story from 2020 to today, you start to see something different. You start to see a man who's been right about everything. He was right about Roman Reigns using his family to build an empire. He was right about the bloodline's corruption spreading through WWE. He was right about Sami Zayn being manipulated. And now he might be right about Cody Rhodes too. Because here's the thing about Cody Rhodes' story. It's not just about winning the big one anymore. It's not about finishing the story. It's about what he's willing to compromise to keep that story going. And that's what makes this current chapter so compelling. Kevin Owens isn't just fighting against Cody Rhodes or Randy Orton or Roman Reigns. He's fighting against the very pattern he's been warning us about since 2020. The pattern of good people compromising their principles, of heroes becoming what they once fought against. Looking ahead, this story has infinite possibilities. Maybe we'll see Kevin Owens face off against Jey Uso at WrestleMania, the man who started his bloodline nightmare versus the man who forced him to SmackDown. Maybe his feud with Randy Orton will evolve into something bigger, especially if Orton starts to see what Owens had been seeing all along. Maybe we'll see KO and Drew McIntyre form an alliance to take the bloodline down once and for all. Or maybe we see Kevin Owens go up against his best friend in Sami Zayn after Sami also sided with Roman Reigns.
Think about this, y'all. They had a discussion on Raw, right? Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes. Kevin Owens did. Sami Zayn looked kind of conflicted. So what if Sami Zayn does help Kevin Owens? Maybe he fails at doing so, but what if Sami Zayn just says enough of the bloodline stuff? They're not my real family anyway. Kevin Owens is more of a brother to me, and I have way more of a history with him than I do this pack of Samoans that at one point made me basically kill myself to allow me to be part of their group. Like, maybe that'll happen. Who knows?
Or maybe, just maybe, we're watching the early stages of Kevin Owens' greatest prophecy yet. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the bloodline's influence corrupts everyone it touches. And with Cody Rhodes now willing to align himself with Roman Reigns, who's to say the American Nightmare won't become the very thing he set out to destroy? I know they have a ladder match coming up at the Royal Rumble, but what if that's not the last match that we see between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes? What if the next time that we see it happen, it'll be a babyface Kevin Owens versus a heel Cody Rhodes?
That's
and
something
the
I've
genius
thought
Kevin
of.
Owens' character art.
I think I may have no, maybe I didn't. But what if the fans boo Cody Rhodes because he said that he's happy that this is a ladder match because the refs can't stop him from what he wants to do? What if he beats him so bad that the fans turn? Could happen. And what I mean by the fans is the people in the building, because I'm obviously a fan too, but I don't want to seem like I'm above fans, because I'm one of y'all. So, but anyway, I'm gonna stop it right there. There's only about a minute or so left of the video. If you want to see that last part, go to the original video and subscribe to their channel. It's called Wrestleology. Easy for me to say when I shit in my throat. Wrestleology. Go subscribe to their channel. This was a well put together video. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction to the video, and subscribe to this channel as well. I will see you guys. I know I said I was going to see you guys later this week, last week, and it didn't happen, but I'm actually about to record more videos that will drop this week. So hope you guys enjoyed this reaction to Nobody Understands Kevin Owens. See you guys.